Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live in Italy Magazine's video channel and our Chat with an Expat series. And I would say this is our second interview of the year with a topic that we get asked about every single day, and that is buying a home in Italy. So I'm very excited, and you may already know them from their YouTube channel, Rossinni Co. I'm speaking today to Aden and Fiorella, who will always say, and they'll get into it, that they are not experts in the area of real estate or real estate agents like us. But the thing is, we find a way to kind of give answers to your questions. And I think they can do a better job than us. But I'm very excited about that because we as the magazine get asked every single day. So we're going to get into their story about how they ended up living in Italy, what part of Italy, their background, and of course, talking about buying a home in Italy. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. Welcome, Aden, Fiorella. So good to see you.
Thanks, Lisa. You too.
And even though it's virtual, it feels like in person. Like I said, we feel so connected to you watching your YouTube channel.
That's awesome.
Happy to have you here.
That's what we aspire to.
That's great. So let's start with the obvious question. Where are you from?
So we're both from Australia. We are Australian citizens, although we do have other backgrounds.
Yeah, so I was born in Colombia, and pretty much half of my life I've lived in Italy. And Aiden's background is his mom is English and Irish, and his dad Italian from Calabria.
Yeah.
Ah, very good.
I mean,
so
Australia in a whole is basically like New York. It's a huge immigration melting pot. So everybody from Australia is mostly from somewhere else originally.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are like that. And obviously, are you from a major city in Australia or?
Yeah, I was born in Sydney and raised in Canberra. That's where I did all my schooling. And we actually, our home is in Brisbane.
Yeah.
In Queensland.
Oh, very good. So do you want to tell us how you met?
Yeah, I mean, we met online actually.
That's nice. You won't be the first person that said that we've enjoyed.
No. I mean, I think we've been married a little while now.
Yeah. Over 18 years.
More than 18 years. So maybe we were, at the time, we were
pioneers.
Front runners. Yeah.
Right.
But, some of our friends thought that we were crazy, but hey.
Here we are still.
We're still here.
That's beautiful. And I'm so glad it's worked out. So what were you doing in Australia prior to moving to Italy?
We've done a lot of things. I mean, basically myself, I'm a novelist. So I write adventure, fantasy, sci-fi novels, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So I guess I classify myself as that in a way because I've had different businesses in my life, including this business and a business that we have still now in Australia that we run remotely.
Yeah. And I am a respiratory therapist by trade.
Oh.
But for many years I've worked in marketing and business development. So we've learned a lot of many different things.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things.
Yeah, helped us have different businesses, and then kind of what we're doing now is ties up nicely with the experiences that we've had in the past.
That's very good. And any of you that are following Aden and Fiorella's channel, as a marketer myself, I always can tell when somebody has a background, and obviously storytelling. A lot of people want to and you do it beautifully. I think the way you put your videos together is very nice. It's captivating. and very personal. And I think that's so important that people can identify with you as human beings. So before we get into the channel, and I'm obviously very excited to talk about that and the subject, is then how long have you been in Italy and how did that come about?
It's a little over 2 years now. And I think it came about, well, originally we've been planning this for a long time. So we've been holidaying in Italy from Australia for, I don't know, I guess until since we were married, and then before we were married, I was holidaying in Italy, and we had plans. We had always been looking at real estate, searching where we'd live, what we would do, if it was a possibility. However, the main, catalyst was the pandemic. Again, was this lockdown where Australians it was very strict. So yes. We were one of the strictest countries in the world. We couldn't leave the country.
People couldn't come in.
You could Australians stuck outside couldn't come in. It was really harsh, and that, I guess, that showed us, that life is short, and being stuck inside an apartment is not the most fun. So I guess that was a catalyst to actually make the move and on a more full-time basis.
Yeah, I think when we've talked about this with other people, is that when your whole life is put on pause, you start to really think about what's important to you. So I am guessing that, the idea of making a life in Italy was very important.
Yes, is that kind of event that makes you feel, okay, if it's not now, when is it going to be? And
exactly.
As Aden said, life is short, and I think you hardly ever make a big decision when all the circumstances are perfect and aligned.
Maybe when you're too comfortable.
Yes. Yeah. So we just decided, no, let's just do it now. And of course, we had done some research, and we prepared as much as we could, but there's always that portion of unknowingness that you have to be okay with when making a choice like this.
Yeah, right. And actually, just before the pandemic hit, we had purchased our first home. So we found houses that we're interested in, and then we just made a quick trip over. It was for 10 days. We were able to make a purchase, and then, well, at least start the purchase and then finish it off overseas. Back in Australia, and that was just before the pandemic hit.
Right. Okay. Oh, then good timing.
Yeah.
Yes,
really
because then, like you said, then you were really stuck. So we'll get into that where you first bought, because that comes up in your videos. So the year then you actually made the move was 2022.
2022.
Okay, that's great. And then what about, because this is going to come up too when we get more into your channel. And there's this, as you know, there's just so many people trying to buy property in Italy right now, foreigners, is that we won't get so much into the details of it, but let's talk about immigration. Like, how were you able to secure your visa? Because you're there permanently now, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yes, we have residence now. So, I mean, as Australians, you can obviously live here for 3 months.
Yes.
Same as Americans. However, there was this other law which we sort of saw as a loophole at the beginning. Remember that? It was
the bilateral agreement.
It was a bilateral agreement between Australia and Italy that it was sort of unknown but obscure, but we dug it up, and it allowed us to stay another 3 months. So it allowed us to stay 6 months in the country without any problems. But that was sort of a fuzzy.
It was a risk that we were taking.
It was a risk, but we were willing to take that risk, and we were applying for my citizenship, and then residency based on applying for that citizenship. So
and that's where we're at right now. It takes time. So here we are.
We're in the process. We have residency right now, and then we're waiting for the citizenship to be finished.
So I'm guessing, Aden, that we're talking about citizenship by descent, because you said your grandmother.
My father.
Oh, your father. Okay. Yeah, because again, we're not here to talk about immigration today, but there is a complication if you're thinking about it, that there are it's a little harder if it's by the maternal rather than the paternal. So you do have, so that's good. Do you know how long it might take? Have they told you that?
No. I mean, it's been, since it's not 2 years since we got here, because we didn't go through the process immediately. We had to do other things, like we had to find a place to live and rent a place and find a car and all that sort of occupied our time. So it's been probably about a year or more. I mean, who knows? It could come tomorrow. It could come in 6 months, or it could come in 10 years. I don't know. I don't really mind at this stage, as long as we're able to live here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. But yeah, I think it will be significant anyway once you become a citizen of Italy. Yeah, like for sure. Let us know. It's celebratory, I think. Our first interview, they're Americans, and it took them quite a while. And I remember when they got it, and it was just like, wow, because I think it took longer for him than her, and it's just like when it finally happens, like I said, I think it's a symbolic.
It definitely is. Yeah.
That's great. So let's talk about that. Now, obviously, you have to go Rossinni Co on YouTube, and if you're not there, please go subscribe. Like I said, this is a hot topic, buying a home in Italy. So you might already know, where did you buy your first home? What region?
Yeah, so that's in Abruzzo.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys don't know where Abruzzo is, it's right smack in the middle. It is classified as the south of Italy.
I didn't know that. I wasn't.
Yeah, it is classified as the south, but it's directly across or right next to Lazio, where Rome is the capital. So that's sort of directly across like that, and it's below Umbria, La Marche, and it's a very central location.
Right. So, I think it's got some wonderful national parks too. I mean, what went into selecting Abruzzo?
Well, I think there was a lot of things. One of them is it had beautiful beaches. It's got beautiful mountains, and then it's in between. So you can live in the mountains, but be 30, 40 minutes away from the beach. And you can even, there's an area which is close to our house, and you can ski on this, in this resort, and you're looking at the ocean. So
that sounds stunning.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So it's a great location. Also, because it's not as known, and so you can still find something that's reasonably priced, and that's what we're more aimed at, is something that's like a lot of people that are looking internationally, is something that they can find that's in a reasonable price. And you can't go to Tuscany anymore. It's expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our last interview was with two people from La Marche, and they were saying the same thing. It's like everybody thinks, you only get the cypress trees and the rolling hills in Tuscany, but that is not the case, and like you said, it's a matter, especially anybody looking for a home, explore some of the other lesser known regions, because you're probably, and more than me, you're going to get a better deal. So do you still have your home there? Because we're going to talk about where you went next.
Yeah,
Yes, we still do.
we
Yeah.
still have it. We need to renovate that home, and we're going to start hopefully very, very soon. So we're super excited. But yeah, we still have it. It's in a tiny village of about 300 people or so. The population increases in the summer because people come back, family members of people living there come back. Tourists go there because of the ease of being next to the mountains and the sea as well.
Mhm.
And it's a historical village, so it's gorgeous with the cobblestone streets and gorgeous stone homes. It's a really special and very romantic village, I will say.
Very nice. So how long were you there for? Did you live there? Because you said that the home has to go through a renovation.
Oh, okay. So when we first arrived, because this was the situation we were in. It was a little bit difficult. We knew that we couldn't live in the house because, I mean, there was no electricity connected and no water connected because the house hadn't been lived in
For like 40 years.
for maybe 40 years, 40 plus years, and the house is hundreds of years old. So we couldn't just go in there immediately, and I mean we could have camped in there, but you know, you're talking about
and we came in winter as
in the
well,
winter,
so.
it's, you know, it gets snow, so
Mhm.
it gets really cold. So we had to find a place to live. We were able to get a rental in the same town, so which was awesome because the people that we rented off have become really good friends of ours. And so we rented off them for about
Maybe 3 months.
about 3 months. Now we knew we wouldn't be able to rent there long, but at that stage we didn't know how long it would take for us to renovate the house. Now the problem that we had there was because of COVID as well, the prices of everything had skyrocketed. So all the materials had doubled in price or more. There were no builders because they were all really busy, and there was all these incentives going on as well with for builders because there were these offers of 110% bonuses for fixing up your home in Italy, and you know that's another subject.
Right.
So it just it put us in a position where, okay, we're going to have to leave this rental soon, and we still can't move into our house, and we don't know when it'll be finished.
Right.
So we had already planned for this because we usually plan like multiple things of, steps ahead, and we had already found another house, in Australia that we thought, okay, if we had to, we'll buy that other house, and that's the house we're living in now. And we knew that this house needed less work to make it habitable. It just needed to connect the services and put in a kitchen. So that was quite easy for us, and that's what we did. So we bought this other house, moved here, and now we've been renovating here, and we'll go back to Abruzzo to renovate.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great. But then you're going to have two properties. So I think if you should be telling us where you are, because this is what piqued my curiosity.
Okay, so this house we're in now is in Molise.
Right.
So Molise is a region right next to Abruzzo, so the south of Abruzzo, and it used to be part of Abruzzo. So it used to be called Abruzzo and Molise, but it's split, I think, in around 1970. So this is, I think, it's the smallest region.
I think it's the second smallest.
Yeah, maybe
because the one in the north.
Alto Adige.
No, there's one in the north. It's really tiny. It is beside Alto Adige. I have to think. I think it has like a French name. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. But definitely one of the smallest, if not the smallest, lesser known regions of Molise.
Probably one of the least populated as well.
Right.
Yeah, but an incredible find. It's we probably like Molise more than Abruzzo.
Yes.
wouldn't you say? I mean,
Yeah.
it's we weren't expecting to find it like this, but it does have, especially where we are, it's got those rolling hills like Tuscany, and then as you go inland, it has more mountainous sort of areas like Abruzzo. So it's sort of got the best of both worlds, and you know, we're 15 minutes from the beach.
And
as well.
something really nice about Molise is like if you're in other regions of Italy, you find that you have tolls. To go from A to B, you usually have to pay tolls
To use a
to
freeway.
use the freeway. Yes,
Yeah.
of course there are inland or like other lesser smaller roads that you don't have to pay tolls, but mainly if you want to get somewhere quickly, you pay the tolls. But in Molise, we don't have tolls. So, for example, when we were in Abruzzo, we wanted to buy something at IKEA, and we needed to pay the toll just to go from our small town to get to IKEA, which was probably maybe half an hour away.
Yeah.
But here, if we want to get things within the region,
yeah, there's
you just don't have to pay
tolls at all. So I mean, that's good. Hopefully, it stays like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's see, because you're encouraging that real estate market so much. I mean, it's like, you know, what's happening with Puglia, you know. Well, this is it, is that a lot of people I've talked to, they love it, but they want their region to stay the way it is. So I am guessing in Molise, there must not be many foreigners. Am I right?
I mean, there are a few, but I mean, I guess nowhere near as much as Tuscany or Milan or Rome.
But you have certain regions where with towns that are known for having hubs or for being hubs for expats. Like, okay, where can I find other people that speak English so that I buy there? Molise doesn't really have that. Like, we know of people and we've made great friends that are from somewhere else. And it seems like everyone is from a different town. Not really, we don't really have that concentration of English speakers in a particular area.
Yeah,
I don't think. I think it's because it's still so unknown as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say another thing is that you realize coming to these small towns how, you know, people think, oh, Italy, it's Italy. You know, it's just full of Italians. Of course, they're Italian, but it's also a country full of immigration. You know, there are all of these small towns, to some degree or another, are people that have been displaced from other countries. For example, right. There are towns near us that are, you know, 80%, excuse me, 80% Croatians. So they fled, you know, during certain times. There are towns that have Albanians that fled like from like our town, which fled from certain atrocities in their own town, our own country at the time. And then you have, you know, the French, or the ancient French and Germans that came down, and then you've got Sicily, which has been conquered by every nation on earth. So what's, you know, you can ask the question, what's really an Italian?
That's true.
But I'm a history buff, so
no, but that's okay. But that's interesting, and I think that's important that, you know, we think about that. You know, that to them, you know, maybe a few generations later, you know, they are Italian, but there's like that descendant line. But that's good. And I think that, you know, that yourself, you know, and being in Australia or me being here, I'm originally from Canada. I mean, that is the beauty of a country, is when you get, you know, the all different cultures, you know, kind of blending to make what it is today. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But that helps, I think, people also to think that they might be understood more, because then they're not actually going into an environment that's just a monoculture. You know, it can seem like that on the surface, but it's not. It is, you know, there's a lot of understanding and a lot of empathy for other cultures within this culture.
So. And also, people around are more used to immigration than we may think when we arrive, because you have, for example, in our town, a lot of people have gone to Germany or to
Switzerland,
Belgium and Switzerland and Belgium. Sorry, Belgium. I was thinking Belgium for work, and then as life gets on and they get older, they come back here.
Yeah, they want to come back.
So even though as a foreigner you kind of feel a little bit different at the beginning, you realize, oh no, this person speaks German, this person speaks French. So it's like you're not so different, or the thing that you've done, which is move from another country, is not so different to what they have done, or some of them have done in the past. So the more you get to know them, the more you can relate to them.
Yeah,
that's great. So before we go on to talk about your channel, let's talk then to the tourists, because obviously the word authentic travel, or, getting off the beaten path, is very popular, especially there are travelers, as you know, that have already been to Rome and Venice and Florence, and they're looking for different experiences in Italy. What would you say, let's focus on Molise, would be something really attractive to the authentic traveler?
I mean, look, this is a really important subject for me, because I've never been a big fan of tourism. And that's a hot topic right now around the world. Tourism is whether tourists are actually good for a country or good for a city. And if you look at what's happening in Venice, they're going to be almost fencing people off, and tourism is obviously good for a country, brings money in, but there are the negative sides. But I've always been a fan of living or going to a place where you see this authenticity, and you can live as part of it. And I feel like Molise has, it's untouched. So really, it doesn't offer the merry-go-rounds, the showgrounds and all this that say Florence or Venice or Rome does. But you get everyday people, you get great food, and people that are friendly and opening and welcoming.
Cultural celebrations throughout the year according to every town. So it's not something that they put on display for others to see. It's so genuine.
It's what they do for
culture.
Themselves.
If you're lucky enough to stand by as the parade goes in front of you, is really special. So there are natural beauties like waterfalls, for example, and you can do bushwalks, and agri-tourism is something very, very big here in the region. Well,
there's a bell foundry. There's a town that makes bells in this region in Molise, that is the oldest in the world, and it still makes bells, and it makes bells for the Vatican, and it's been making them for, I think, thousands of years.
I don't know how long.
It's so it's the oldest in the world. And just that in itself is incredible. Why here? Why not Tuscany? Why not? I guess it just evolved that way.
Sure.
Yeah, but there are great things to see here. There's unspoiled, beautiful rivers, natural beauty, and snow and beaches, and hiking, and it is authentic Italy, as authentic as you can get.
And also because is less known. Many Italians, for example, we're very close to Puglia. So we are the north is Abruzzo, the south is Puglia, and many people from Italy, when they holiday, they go past the sea here and the beaches, and they go to Puglia. So Puglia is packed with tourists, and then you have one of the main beaches that we go to, which is Termoli, which is the seaside city closest to us. And it's the middle of summer, and you still have so much space on the beaches. It doesn't feel sad. It doesn't feel forgotten or anything. It's great having that space that you just don't get in other more well-known places.
Although it did get discovered during COVID, because of people only being able to travel locally. Italians.
Oh, that's right.
Termoli. So it then it's sort of grown from the COVID experience as well.
Yeah, just to expand on that, I think what you're talking about is during COVID and the lockdown in Italy, you weren't able to travel outside of your own region, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying people that live in Molise typically might have even gone to Puglia or somewhere else to go to the beach, and then they discovered their own?
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
even you know, interregional, I guess, as well, because I don't think there were times it wasn't as strict as just regional, but you know, maybe just they couldn't travel from Italy to the north to out of the country, or they couldn't you know, leave via plane, or so they decided, okay, we're going to have a holiday, you know, on by car this year. Let's go south, and that's when they discovered.
Right. Well, I'd like to talk about your channel, Rossinni Co. Let's start with the title first. Where's the Rossini from?
So that's our surname. So Rossini, Rossinni.
Yes.
It's funny because before, actually, and this goes back, I think the channel is like an organic result of something that we had in mind before, and is that when we were in Australia, we had a coffee bar, we had a cafe, and yes, we had books, like a little corner.
Yeah, it was a cafe bookstore.
And then on another area, on one of the windows, we had Italian properties displayed. So we had photos, and because we had always contacts with real estates here, we thought, okay, why don't we promote these amazing houses at great prices that people in Australia will be interested in? So when they go past our window, when they come to our cafe, they will see. So the houses were there, and we actually had made this little wooden sign that says Italian homes, so they will see it there. And when we created our Facebook page back then for this, we had bought our house in Abruzzo, and we called ourselves Abruzzo Choice. Remember that? So we were Abruzzo Choice, but then after we moved to Molise, it's like, wait a second, we're not Abruzzo Choice.
We can't do that anymore.
What are we? And then we thought, okay, how about our name? And then we hope that this can be bigger than us, and that we can be involved with a lot more people. So let's put the co next to it, because of and company, whatever that company may become.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So you said that you started originally just posting information on Facebook. So when did you start the YouTube channel?
We started the YouTube channel
when we got to Abruzzo.
Yeah, when we arrived, like soon after, and it was more for ourselves and to share with our family, because you know, there's you want to show them so much, and photos don't really do justice to the experience that you're having. So I started filming a lot of things, and a lot of the things that we were doing and posting them there. And then it just, you know, we started picking some interest, and people commenting like, oh, wait a minute, we're here. Maybe we're into something. It wasn't that easy for me because I've always been a very private person.
Yeah, I always say that too. Yes. And look at us, right?
I know. It's like, okay, I kind of found like, if this is gonna be good, it has to be all in to be good enough. I have to put myself out there if it's going to be good enough, and if people are going to get what we want to get. Because we've always wanted to share this with people, and the main goal is to show people that we're not that special, that the goal and the dream is attainable, that it doesn't take, you know, someone with a lot of money or you know, or having a huge family network in Italy to land and have it a little bit easier, because we didn't at all.
Yeah, we didn't know anyone.
So yeah, we needed to be honest, and for that we needed to kind of put everything out there, which is what we do now, pretty much.
Yeah, but then we started to add houses. So we thought, we had our cafe in Australia, and we had houses in the window. So let's continue to do that. And we had contacts from that. So
Ah.
that's how we were able to start. And then we did, of course, we scouted for homes ourselves besides the real estates that we had contacts with.
And also, something that we found, and that's why another reason why I feel like it grew organically, is because once people in the town knew, the first thing they will ask us is like, "Oh, you're here. Who's your family?" Because they don't expect that anyone without any ties to a particular area is just
Right.
going to be here. So we said no. We pretty much saw it on the map, and we decided that this was it. And they knew we bought a house and so on. And they're like, "Ah, you bought a house? Look, I have a house for sale." So people will take
Yeah,
us through their
they would
houses
approach us
to
then.
show
Yeah.
us. And we're like, okay, yeah, maybe we know people in Australia that, and then it just became so often that we thought, okay, no, we have to film this.
Mm.
And as cringy, how do you say? Not cringy, but
Mm.
as hard to watch as the first videos were, because it's like, oh my God, it's funny how you start doing with whatever
No,
you
I totally get it. This is what happened to us. And it's funny because about 2 weeks ago, somebody said to me, "Oh, like you're good at this, you know what you're doing." It's just like, no, I don't.
I know
You just learn with it, and good
you
for
just
you.
fake it until
until you
you
make
make
it.
it.
That's
Yeah.
it. Well, good
Yeah.
job. So I'm guessing, like, are you like, tell us your equipment I mean, obviously a lot of people dream of starting a YouTube channel, but I'm guessing you just started with like
A
a
phone.
stabilizer and a phone. Yeah.
Yeah, stabilizer and a phone actually. Yeah.
Yeah, probably the
Yeah.
first time it wasn't really the stabilizer,
Well, the
I think.
stabilizer was you could use it sometimes, but it was just sort of annoying. So sometimes you could use it, sometimes you couldn't, but just really a phone, just a smartphone.
And something about, I don't know if someone out there is considering starting a YouTube channel on anything. For me, putting my face there was very confronting, right? And you're
Mhm.
always thinking, oh my God, like there are things about my face now I realize, well, oh my God, my eyes are like that, my nose is like. And at the beginning, there was this kind of, what do you call it, like a gimbal, and you can have like a bit of a filter. And I thought, okay,
Right.
it's lucky I can
Yeah,
have
it
that
had this
filter,
filter because
because I can't imagine myself putting makeup on and doing all these things every time before doing a video.
Right.
Now I don't use that. Look, I
now
go to the video
It's
where
just
I
like,
now
put
here I
my
am.
makeup on.
yeah, now it's take it or leave it.
No, but you know what? This has come up too. But I think that's the beauty of it. And I think during COVID, even major news stations, as you know, I mean, they're not in the studio. They're doing this from their home computer. They don't have proper lighting, and all of a sudden, our expectations of what we should see changed, I feel. But then also with the social media revolution, as it continues to grow and evolve, I mean, what are people attracted to the most? It's proof, real people.
Yes.
Yeah,
And we don't wake up as real people properly groomed, right?
yeah,
I think people love it because you're
mm,
sincere, and that's
yeah.
great. Good for you. It does take a lot of guts, and I admire that. And like I said, I haven't watched every single video, but I've watched a few. I really enjoy it. So let's talk about, before we get into the subject, the art of storytelling. Who's doing the work? So Aden, as a writer, are you kind of piecing it together? Is it collaborative? Are you doing the editing together? How does that work?
No, I mean everything that we do is collaborative. It always has been, but we do have strengths. I guess as an overall business direction and going out there and finding people and talking to people, and even though I speak less Italian than Fiorella, one of my strengths is direction and focusing on expansion
Like
and
bigger
the
picture.
bigger picture sort of thing. I'm less technical, so I mean we have um, a lot of uh, meetings where we discuss how or where we're going to go and what we're going to do. And I guess my implementation of that is what I do mostly, and the editing is done by Fiorella.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that technical part of putting the video together and putting it out there, uploading and doing all these different things, shorts and long form, and keeping up with what's
Good for
what's
you.
on YouTube. And yeah, that's something that really, and I guess it's the marketing side of things
Right.
that has helped me. And that's another reason why everything has come together. Like sometimes you find yourself in life and you think, oh, how did I get here? But when you start, backtracking everything, like, okay, yes, it makes sense. It's not so crazy that we find ourselves doing what we're doing. You sort of get the tools along the way to be able to make something of that one thing that you're working on at the moment.
That's great. That's very encouraging. So you focus on buying homes and also, like you said, affordable homes. I will let you go into it because the same thing, if you're watching this or going to be reading the article, I get questions every single day about buying a home, and then you can expand upon this. None of us are experts. And obviously, whatever you hear today or on their channel, they will explain to you is just an opportunity to show you what's there and the possibilities. And then I would say from my point of view, and then you can tell me, is that I would say from what my experience is talking to so many people would be to get expert advice. So why don't you give us your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, we have, as part of the whole business structure that we've developed is, I mean, we have lawyers that we work for, so not for, with, so we collaborate with many different people. So lawyers that do everything. So this particular firm will have translators, will help the person buy the place, pretty much can do everything they want if they just want to stay in their lounge room in the US or Australia, if they want to, or they can, do a certain part and leave it up to you, the rest of it, or it's, sort of a case by case basis. And then we have collaborations with real estate agents and translators, with notaries, so
architects.
Yeah, architects and geometers.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, we try to pass on the expert advice that people need, or help alleviate the problems there can be when finding these people, finding trustworthy, good people, and we've sort of done a lot of that homework for people. That's part of the process. So basically we can say, okay, here's a house that we've toured. If you're interested in this house, this is the real estate that is listing it, or this is the person that owns it, and if you need a lawyer, here's a lawyer. If you need a notary, here's a notary, just to help people. So they didn't have the complications that we had, or that other people have had in the past.
So so if somebody watches your video, because like some of these homes, like you're showing homes that are 60,000 euros, 80,000 euro, very, very attainable price point. So based on the amount of views and the comments that you're getting, people can contact you, and then you could refer them to the realtor, or, suggest people that you may know of or worked with in that area, that they could get the information they need.
Yes.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So your purpose is to visualize it, because you obviously seem to be seem to have a lot of knowledge about this subject, though, based on your experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically because we've been traveling for, a good part of 20 to 30 years in this country, and I've personally been looking at properties from from the north of Italy all the way down to Sicily and over to Sardinia. I've been looking at properties for 30 years. So I know I've seen things change. I know prices in different regions. I know the different types of architecture in different regions, and even more so than a local agent, because a lot of agents in Italy are very, very local, very regional. I mean, even more than regional, they're just so local.
So specific to a town.
To a town, or even maybe a couple of towns, that they wouldn't have a clue what happens 10 kilometers over the border. And that's fine, but that's how they operate. But I've always been a big picture type of person. So, I mean, I can also tell you that about property in Colombia and New York and Australia and other countries, because I've also looked there as well. But
we see ourselves as a publicity kind of service. So we put in the spotlight on certain towns and on certain homes. And from then on, and it's something that we always tell people, a decision like this is about personal responsibility. So you get the basics from us, you know that there is a home standing there. The rest is up to you to work out, to find out if it's the right place for you, the right house, the right town, the right price. So we give you the supportive team to decide that by yourself.
But also one of the important things, and one of the incentives for starting this channel as well, I don't know if we brought it up before, was that when we were in Australia, it was very hard to get contact with a real estate agent. Now, a lot of the times they wouldn't answer emails, they wouldn't return emails, sometimes wouldn't even answer their phone. And when you're from another country, that's frustrating, because, you know, you see something and you, I want to know about that. Or can you send me more photos? So we wanted that to not be like that. So by us finding these houses, like a lot of the houses we find are not even on any website at all. And then, so finding these houses which are off the beaten track, and then sort of allowing for a communication line between some foreign interest and a person here is selling, or a real estate that's selling here. And it might be a small real estate. And, you know, those real estates here, many of them don't speak English. So we're sort of, you know, we just help that process along, and we want that to be easier for people, and how it wasn't easy for us.
That's a great.
Yeah, sorry. Lisa, that's why it's important for us who we partner with, who we collaborate with, because we come from countries where things are streamlined and they're happening in a timely manner, right? So every time we have meetings with someone who's a potential partner, we ask, okay, so how responsive are you? Because that responsiveness creates trust. Otherwise, you know, for a buyer overseas, it's a scary moment. And I don't know sometimes if people here who haven't made a decision like that can relate or can understand that there are so many boxes that need to be checked before someone actually makes a decision, and trust is the underlying fabric, let's say, that allows that to happen in the end.
Right. No, that's really great. So based on what you're saying then, and your first home purchase, because of the circumstances, you started online, how much do you emphasize the importance of taking it offline and getting there yourself to Italy before making a purchase?
I mean, I think it's always good to travel here. However, I do think it's possible, and we know many people, and there's been many instances of people buying completely from another country. So sight unseen, where they they find a house they like, contact whoever's responsible for selling it, real estate or owner, and then approaching a lawyer, a notary, translator,
and give power of attorney
and everything done, and then they arrive in Italy and they get the keys, and it's quite doable, but it depends on the person. Not a lot of people can do that. Certain people can do that. I personally like to see things in, I want to touch that house. I want to see what the light is like in that house. I want to see what the house is next to, and I want to look out the window. But not all the times you have to do that. It depends on there's so many variables. I mean, depends on how much money you're spending, how much money you've got.
And maybe someone already knows that area or that region, so they understand a little bit about the about what goes on, and then maybe a house pops up for sale in the neighboring town where they visited. So I think it just depends on the circumstances, and some real estates will support you on that, some others not at all. They will say, no, we don't accept an offer until you physically have seen the house. So that may kind of get in the way for some people that want to do it from overseas. But yeah, it really depends. It also depends on budget as well. So it can be done, but
on the flip side of that, some people come here and they take a trip, and it might be just a survey kind of trip where they see multiple areas, multiple towns, even multiple regions, and they get so confused, and they'll leave. Like they might leave after 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months, go back to their home, have purchased nothing. And then they get back into their life, and then later on they find something online, and they know already from their survey that, they don't want to go to that area, they don't want to go to this area, they like that area, and they know sort of what a small town feels like. So they might think, I don't want to be in a town of 200 people, but I don't want to be in a town of 10,000. So with that trip, they've actually learned a lot more than they thought, and then they make a decision. Whereas when they first came, they were just overwhelmed because I mean, Italy is so beautiful. Right. It's almost like every town, every region, every corner of this country is beautiful to some degree, some particular way.
And it also depends. I think it's about timing as well. Like I remember very clearly, we were looking in Piemonte some years ago, and it was beautiful, and we loved the region, and we went back home feeling, yes, Piemonte is going to be for us. Then life takes you, and you have another trip, and then the time where everything comes together, you have the money, you have the time, you have the people helping you make the choice, and it just happened to be, for example, for us in Abruzzo. So I think timing has a lot to do with it.
It really is really subjective. It's very personal.
Yeah, and then I would say, with that in mind, it obviously some things can be done from afar, but it's very important, especially if opting into a smaller region, that I think the more time you spend there, and you have to evaluate your needs. And we're going to get into that when we talk about your €1 home series, which you're going to be working on, because that's another hot topic. You have to say, okay, what are you looking for? Like, if you're in a small town, are you looking for that small town experience? Is it important, if you're going to be traveling from there, that you're close to a train station? Do you need a car, or you don't want a car? Do you want to be in green Italy, or do you need to be by a coast? There are just so many factors. And somebody had suggested this to me, is that you should also see it in all different seasons. Because if you're seeing it in summer, where everything's lush and everything like this, it's like a fantasy, just like when you go on a vacation. But if you go see it when it's in winter, or when it's dark, it's like, and all these things. So really, really great advice. Like I said, is that please explore their channel, because they're getting into some of these things that I can't even, offer you advice for that. So let's talk. You just presented, I guess, a teaser to The €1 home and that investigation, obviously that because of, I'm not sure how it started, but when you're getting a topic on CNN and major news networks, somebody's behind it somewhere. So I'm going to guess that it's the comune and some kind of, like I said, there's got to be some marketing behind it. A beautiful project that I guess most of you know, because the effort is to restore small towns and to bring interest in it. But you take it from here. Talk about it first, what you think about the €1 home project.
Okay, so I mean, we have a little bit of a history with it ourselves. I mean, we've never purchased a €1 home, and up until now, until this series that we've just started, we've never been involved with it, but we have known about it for a long time. It has been, I think, many years now that it's been going on in all different parts of Italy. So from the south, from Sicily, all the way to the north and to Sardinia, there's a lot of towns are doing it. So when we're in Australia, we used to watch. We had our YouTube channels that we'd watch, and some of them, I can't remember them right now, but they showed the €1 homes, and it did interest us, and I did like the idea of what they were doing. I really did.
Some communes.
Yeah, we did send some emails off, and we tried to find out information. But at the time, it was we either didn't get our emails answered, or they were just gone. Like the houses were just
right.
There was too much interest, because, as you say, once something goes on CNN, they just get inundated with all these emails, and then those little comunes with 3 people working in them.
They can't take it. They can't. Yeah,
it's too much. So, I mean, we always had that interest, but we'd never done anything. We had planned to, but we haven't had time up until now. And then we've discovered this town, which is not far from us, which is about to unleash their €1 homes, unleash onto the market.
Another reason to subscribe to Rossinni Co, because I was like, okay, they said the next video, and I went to the next video, and it wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
Sorry.
No, sorry about that. That'd be one.
No, don't be sorry.
1 year away.
It's a great way to keep watching.
Piano, like every
yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of information out there on the internet and YouTube about people that think they're experts, or there's people that openly say, oh, it's a scam, or how can you get a house for €1? Or why would you do that? Those houses are terrible. And there's all this information out there. We're going to present the correct information because we want to, that's what we like to do we want to bring things down to the simple facts, and we're going to make it easy for people to contact these towns, like the mayor. We'll find out how people can actually get their communication across, and so in doing so, we have now looked into some of the details, and we'll be getting more details. But personally, I believe that the €1 programs are brilliant, because I feel like they're a beacon. They beckon people to these towns which are needing help. Italy itself needs people. It needs population the same way Japan needs population, right? And these little towns are infinitely worse. So you can get towns that have such a low population that if people don't go there anymore, besides the houses falling down, there'll be nobody to have a shop anymore. There'll be nobody to pay the mayor, and you won't be able to buy bread, and that's sad, because there's so much beauty and history in all these little towns. And there's so many people that want to come here, so let's put them together.
I love
So
that. And thank
yeah.
you, because actually you're the first person that I've interviewed that's kind of really advocated for it. So
Yeah, I mean,
thanks.
you have to really think, okay, what is it for? I mean, they're not it's just common sense. If they're offering a home for €1, it's not going to just cost €1, because
Yeah,
there are, and they don't they don't hide the fees.
good.
All the towns have their own way of
Their
doing
own
it, their own
structure.
structure of how they do it, whether it means that you have to leave a deposit of,
Mhm.
X amount of dollars or euros. And then when it's finished, that money's returned, or you have to have the work started within a certain amount of time. But all of these things are very fair, because what would be the point of selling off all these homes for €1 if there was no time limit? That's not really
Right.
fair. That doesn't sort of serve the purpose of what they're wanting to do.
I think that's something that we want to bring up with this series is manage expectations, which is so important in
Mm.
anything that you present in
Good
life.
point.
As important as it is to know what the €1 program is what it isn't. Some people think that it's a path to residency or a path to
Mm.
citizenship,
Yeah,
and that's
definitely
not
Right.
the
it's
case.
not.
And we spoke with the mayor of this town, and yes, we think that the €1 program is fantastic, but unfortunately it needs to be bigger than that. It needs to be bigger than the particular communes and municipality. It needs to be like a state, not even the state government, but a federal government supported, so that these towns can have the independence to help those people that want to come in and help, for
Yes.
example, with residency, which is not the case at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost
Let's
like
just hold
it's
on, pause
hobbled.
one.
So I feel like it's almost hobbled. It's almost cut off at the knees, the program, before it even begins. And I had a good conversation with the mayor about this. And unfortunately, it's not up to him, because he's at such a small level, a low level in his town. He can't just go up to the president and say, hey, anybody that comes to our town, can you make sure that they get citizenship? Yeah, thanks.
Right.
No, that just doesn't happen. So I think what needs to happen is you need to get all of these €1 towns together,
Mm,
and they need to sort of form this group or alliance which goes to the government and says, listen, you're giving you're allowing people, refugees from other countries, to come in. That's fine. That can be a good thing, and you're helping refugees. That's good. However, there are these towns which need help, and these people from other countries which are willing to pay, they're willing to, some of them, start businesses, buy homes, buy cars, but they can only do that if they're allowed to. I mean, even if they don't get citizenship, it's like, give them residency, give them permanent
right.
residency, so they can. So that can be a bit of an Achilles heel, I suggest, for this
For the program.
program. And it would just make it a lot better if that changed. But at the moment, if somebody has the ability to stay in the country, whether it's from elective residency for retirement, or
Or
someone
descent,
like
like
me, descent or something like that, then it's great. But or if
Right.
they just want
And if I
a
could just
holiday home.
expand on this, and then you can pitch in, is for anyone outside of the Schengen area, so like Australia, Canada, the United States, where a lot of our readers are coming from, is that you are only given 3 months, and then you can apply for longer. So just to emphasize what Aden is saying, is that you are not guaranteed residence just because you purchase a home. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't a path to residency, as you know, but you are not guaranteed. And then the other thing is, I think you could say, and it will come up in your series, is when you are purchasing a home as part of the €1 project, is that it's a home for you to keep, basically. Like, don't think of it as being your income as a B&B. Am I correct about that?
I think we need to clarify that with there is a particular office in the comune called Ufficio Tecnico. So it's the architects that kind of take you through and receive the applications and so on. So there are still some questions that we need to ask, because what's happening is that, and the reasons why we haven't put all the videos out is because we need to go back there. So we go back, and time constraint from ourselves and from these people to give us the information is quite tight. So we got some information, great, to get started, to know that we're interested, to kind of look into it, and that people will benefit from even if someone is not interested in it, just having that information and then being able to choose whether that is not for them, from the get-go. That's the thing. But yes, there's a lot more that we have to ask, and we have to do probably quite a few more trips there to find all these out.
That's fantastic that you're doing all that work. I think that's a great resource. And I guess like what you're saying is that each comune could be different. So even though I'm saying that it might be different from region to region, the areas, and that's good. Yes, that's really great. And I look forward to hearing and watching more about that subject, because like I said, it's daily for me, somebody asking me. So, and I'm sure it will be for you too.
Yeah.
But one thing that I like what you're doing at Rossinni Co is that if the €1 home project is not for you, you're showing people that you can maybe not move-in ready, because how many homes are really move-in ready, depending on what you do, but still get a home in Italy for a reasonable cost. Is that correct? Is like that one of your goals of the channel, to show that it's attainable?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And the €1 home, that, that fits into it to a certain extent, but even the €1 home towns, as much as those homes are, as I said, like a beacon to attract people, there are, a lot of people go and they look at the €1 homes, but then they find a home 3 doors down that's €5,000 or €15,000 or €20,000, and it still needs work, but it may not need as much work, or it may be livable, or so it's just a way of attracting people to that town, which they may never have ever seen in
putting the
ever.
map on the town on the map.
Yeah, that's excellent. That is really good point. All right, so go ahead. Sorry.
Another thing about the homes that we present, for us is really important to be real, or to be down to earth. We all have the dream of Italy as the rolling hills home with the views, with the terrace, with the balconies, stone homes, but not for everyone that is attainable, as we were saying, because of how much it costs to get a house, to have a house to that standard. So, but that doesn't mean that the dream should just, evaporate. If someone is more, if the budget is lower, if someone is more flexible with what they want, if they want to live like that Italian life, even if the home is not as picture perfect, and that's what we show an array of homes that are even apartments. Maybe no one comes here thinking of living in an apartment, but if the price is more accessible than a home, that's another option. So,
and it can even be authentic, because more authentic to the Italian way of life, because a lot of Italians live in apartments, even if they live in the historical areas. Not all homes are independent or even
detached,
semi-independent or attached. So, living in an apartment, you can live in an apartment in Florence, and it's a beautiful experience if you've ever stayed in Florence, because you've got you look out on the balcony and you look up the street to the church and you see people going past, and you might not have the whole building, but you live up top, and so it's just part of life here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think most people understand that. And from my experience, just these foreigners that have moved and listening to people what their needs are, um, a lot of times they're escaping from their kind of, I would say, for us, United States, single family home, don't know your neighbors. It's all about changing your life, that your life is not actually the structure that you live. Your life is out in the piazza, it's out there in the community. So that's usually what people are searching for. So you're totally right in that respect. And, I would say thank you for shedding light. I've yet to see another channel that's just, we can find plenty of high glossy videos with multi-million-dollar, villas in Italy and things like this. And I do think, we need that. We need to know that there, those of us who just dream of living in Italy, that there are reasonable price homes and something for everybody. So that's great. Congratulations to you. So as you know, this is called Chat with an Expat. It was just a cute name when we started. People have different views of expat. Some people don't like the word, but I always ask as we come to conclusion, what is your definition of an expat?
Yeah, we had a discussion about that, and
Did
we
you?
yeah we I mean we weren't really sure in a way because we I'd never really used the term before, and obviously
Not because we don't think it's appropriate or
no, it
anything.
was
Yeah.
just something that was never in our vocab in Australia before, and then when we came here, we noticed it was used quite a lot, especially by the English
Mm,
and Americans, and I guess I think the definition is something like it's a person who lives uh, in another country, not permanently, and is can always go back to their own country. So they're sort of they got the feet in both in two sides or both sides of the pond, and they um, yeah, I mean, I guess they're living as foreigners in another country. I mean, I don't know if what the precise definition
Definition,
well, that's
yeah.
is.
okay. Like I said, I just always curious to hear what other people say.
Yeah,
Fiorella?
To me, it's like something that is by choice somewhere else. Like, yeah, I'm from somewhere else, so but I choose to
I
be here.
choose to be. Yeah,
Whether I live here tomorrow, whether I stay for the rest of my life, I don't know. I don't
mm.
think of that. But it's like, yeah, I'm from somewhere else. I think maybe the word expat is kind of nicer than a foreigner. It, I don't know. I see
Or
it.
immigrant. And I've
Yeah,
interviewed people that say, "Hey, I'm an immigrant," and I don't have any problem saying that.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know. A foreigner feels like at the forefront is the fact, yeah, that you're from somewhere else to me. But as an
Right,
expat, at the forefront is the fact that I'm choosing to be here. Um,
right.
yeah, that's the way I think I see it.
yeah. We always thought ourselves. We always labelled ourselves as being as part of a reverse immigration because because my father went to Australia and
For a
then
better life.
for a better life.
Right.
Then I was born, and then I'm going to Italy for a better life. So I'm reversing what he's done. He's probably thinking, like, I mean, my father's passed now, but he's probably thinking, what's he doing? Go back to Australia, you silly boy. I don't know, but yeah, we all have our
Yeah.
reasons, don't we?
No, that's so true. But I think that's a great answer, and I think it sheds light on it. We have to evaluate, how we feel as foreigners, like you said, in a different country and why. And a lot of times, the answers are very similar. You're not looking to be what we think typical expat, be part of an expat community. You're not just all hanging out at the beach and speaking English or whatever your first language is with just the same people, but it's in a different location. So good for you. And that's the purpose of the magazine. We're looking for people who are immersing themselves in the culture, which is so much harder, as you know, with the language, culture, adapting. And I think one of your videos went into that, right? I like that. It's like now you're here. I think Fiorella, you said it, but now how do you make it a home? What are those things? And like I said, I won't get into that, but I found that very interesting. I will give a little teaser to that, but because I love to cook, but Fiorella went into the process of making, you know, the tomato sauce from harvest. And I thought that was very beautiful. Again, going back to your storytelling, you know, it's part of becoming you know, living there, besides purchasing a house, is becoming a part of this. And I think you shed light on things that like people that people have been doing for years out of necessity and still have the need to do it. And this is what to them is defined as a home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, also, just in addition to that, which you might find this interesting, is Fiorella brought up this word when we were talking about this, and it's a tribe. Okay, and going to another country like Italy, one of the great things is in a way is to find your own tribe, and that may be a mix of people, you know, not necessarily. And we've never had the aspirations to, as you say, just to be around expats or just to be around Australians or Americans or anyone else. We just wanted to be here. But at the same time, finding your tribe can mean a mix of people from all different backgrounds, and whether they're Italians that have lived in China, or Italians that have lived in England, or Italians that just love Australians, or Italians that just love Americans, or it can be a Chinese, mainland Chinese person that moves here that likes the Australian accent, but you somehow meet and you form this common ground, or these common, you have this common denominator of likes and dislikes, and that's your tribe, and they could be mixed up of all of these different people. And that's really what we love about travel and about Italy as well. So
and what we're finding here, what our life is enriched by our neighbors that are Italian, as much as it is by the people that have come to have a home, that are from England and have a home here, or that are from New York and they're gonna stay here for X amount of months looking to stay here. So I think it's about having an open heart for the good people that will come into your life, regardless of where they're from, because I think that's what matters. As long as you have a point of commonality, like you say, just like when you were a kid, find something in common with someone and just let it grow, and you become great friends and you don't even know why. So that's what we really care.
Love that. Find your tribe. So the last question I usually ask is, what do you miss? And I don't know how long it's been since you've been in Australia. What do you miss about Australia that you feel you don't have? And let's set that apart from like friends and family, because that's usually obvious. And then if you return to Australia, what do you miss about Italy?
So, I mean, myself, Australia is it's a beautiful country. It's vast. I miss the vastness of the country, the open, you know, you can drive for thousands of kilometers like you can in the US. And I do miss that. I miss the beaches. The beaches are incredible in Australia. I mean, it's one big island, really. So
right, that's right.
Some of the best beaches in the world. One thing I do miss is the variety of food. Now, Italy has great food. Okay, I mean, everyone knows Italian food is great, but Italian food is very regional. There isn't really an Italian food. It's more regional food.
Right.
So, and I miss, in Australia, you can go and get amazing Thai food. You can get Indian food. You can get German, Chinese, English. You know, and it's sometimes you just crave, I want Thai tonight, and it's really easy to find.
Aden, you are not the first person to say that, and it usually is Thai food too.
I know. Thai food's really good.
Yeah.
What's your background? I know you're Canadian, but what's your
Well, I
parents?
was born in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm actually adopted. I was adopted when I was 3 months. So my mom was from England. We now say more the UK, and my dad was from South America. And so I honestly, when people ask me, I feel Canadian. But the thing is, since living in Florida for, 30 years and married to a Cuban, I honestly, Fiorella, I don't know, it's like the dominant Hispanic culture. I mean, I cook Cuban food. You just can't help being in South Florida and close to Miami. Obviously, I'm not actually in Miami, we're north. Is that I definitely feel Hispanic now. So that didn't really answer your question, but
No, because actually looking at your features, you could easily be Indonesian or Asian, some Asian.
oh yeah, that's the probable. I don't
Yeah.
know for sure, but that's what we expect.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately when people ask me that, it's really hard for me because I don't identify with that culture. It's kind of silly. My mother being British, grew up on Sunday with roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. But then my dad being from, Suriname in South America, I had all that, influence, and then the Dutch, and so it's crazy. But again, that's what you're saying is like we're all made up of many things.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know why-
let's do vice versa then. What do you miss about Italy when you're in Australia?
I think it would be the simplicity of life. Once you get used to living in this rhythm, it takes time to calm down to living in this rhythm when you come from Australia, where things work from this time in the day to this time in the afternoon, and you know what to expect. But here, over time, I guess you learn patience and you learn to go with the flow, and then it's like I think your heart and your brain waves kind of relax a little bit more. So going back to that, to being full on all the time may be challenging. The quality of the food,
the quality of the ingredients,
ingredients,
the freshness of the ingredients and the non-GM. And they just there's a lot of rules in Italy in regards to food. So I know America has a lot of problems with that kind of thing because you've got
oh yeah, it's terrible.
Corporations basically controlling the food sources and stuff. So that's really a great thing about Italy. So you miss that, and you miss the people contact. As you say, in America, everyone sort of the neighbors don't know each other.
That's true for us. We never speak to our neighbors.
Yeah, well, Australia,
it's so sad.
I know, but Australia is becoming like that, and Australia used to be very easygoing and very good in that way, but it is changing as well, and so that's something that we definitely miss.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay, so in conclusion, if you've made it this far, thank you. If usually people are reading the article, not always making the end, but I really hope so. And a lot of times people do make it to the end, but we'll make sure all the information is in the article and then obviously here. How do we find you?
YouTube.
So YouTube. So it's at
Right.
Rossinni Co.
Okay.
Rossinni with double
S, double N.
That's right.
And then Instagram
at Rossinni
at
Co.
Rossinni Co.
As well.
Yeah, that's and our website actually.
Oh wait, we don't have.
Okay. Oh, that I didn't discover. I don't think. So do you remember your website handle?
We only launched that about
maybe 2 weeks
ago.
Oh, okay, that's great. Is that Rossinni Co?
Rossinni.com.
.com. Yeah.
Excellent. I'll put all the links everywhere.
I think a few people miss our channel because when they're typing, their phone or the computer corrects it to one N, but is two N's. So yes, that's
right. Yes, and I think I didn't have that problem, but I think I just even when I was typing at the questions, I did put one N. So just remember 2 S's, 2 N's, Rossinni Co, and you'll find it for sure.
Yeah.
So that's great. And again, thank you for watching this interview and then also visiting the website. We are Live in Italy magazine, but if you go anywhere, you're going to find us apart from YouTube as Live in Italy Mag, M-A-G. So one thing I will emphasize, both Aden and Fiorella and us at Live in Italy magazines, this is our passion project. So, starting a YouTube channel and maintaining it is a lot of work. They can tell you more than us or any kind of social media platform. So please, when it comes to YouTube, make sure you subscribe. It seems silly to always like and comment and share, but just do it. Do it, especially if it's something that you like. Just comment and say, and those things alone don't cost anything, and they help us grow because we're here to provide information that you're asking for. So thank you for your time. That was wonderful. I love your channel. I wish you the very best, and I look forward to see how it grows, especially with this information with the 1 Euro Home Project.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Lisa.
you,
Thanks
Lisa.
for your time.
Great meeting you, and really enjoyed today. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Maybe we'll take a trip to Miami.
Yes. Well, and the thing is like, I would love to, when we get to Italy, is to kind of do the whole drive down there. And it's, if you're on that side of Italy, there's no reason why you can't, especially if you're heading to Puglia or anywhere south. There's no reason why you can't stop in Molise. So
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. Bye.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you so much.
Bye, Lisa.
Ciao.